What's up, guys? Welcome to the Bodyweight Hypertrophy training program for using calisthenics to pretty much get the muscle mass and the strength that you want to gain. Now, this webinar is pretty much just an open resource for you guys to always kind of come back to, and if you had any questions, come back to this webinar and hopefully I have answered them. If not, you can always still shoot me an email. The Bodyweight Hypertrophy program, I'm going to start right into it. It is for an intermediate based level. What I mean by intermediate is that, have a basic set of adept skills. So you should be able to do full range of motion push-ups. You should be able to do at least 3-5 chin-ups, supinated grip, okay, pronated grip. You should be able to do full range of motion squats. You should be able to do full range of motion split squats and lunges, things of that nature. What calcifies that, okay, is very simple. If you've seen all my videos before, just look at what a pull-up and a push-up and a squat looks like to me. We're talking elbows go behind the body when you do your pull-ups, chin over the bar. You do your push-ups, we don't do those half reps, we do full range of motion reps unless stated otherwise within the program in and of itself. That's something to just be really mindful of before beginning this program. You should be able to do full range of motion push-ups, pull-ups, things of that nature. This program is also intended to not get people to do front levers, back levers, spinneroonies, and all types of crazy tricks. This is not what this program is for. This program, as far as it goes with skill training, you're gonna end up doing like a handstand on the wall and a push-up from there. That's it. That's probably the most difficult thing in this program in terms of like coordination and skill. What we're doing here is we're using the basics to get strength and hypertrophy gain. The reason why I do that is for a number of reasons. One, learning skills takes quite a long time, especially on an online basis. It's easier to do with something face-to-face. Doing movements like front levers don't have a lot of time under tension, which is a fact. If you're doing an isometric hold, you're only going to be there for like about 5 seconds, maybe 10 seconds. And that doesn't really have too much time under tension in order to build muscle. Don't get me wrong, there are ways to, finagle that and finesse it, but we want to use the basics and maximize those basics in order to get stronger, healthier, and have a practice that is for longevity, something that you can maintain. The skills training, we are not doing none of that. None of that. We're using basics out here to get stronger, to get healthier, to improve blood flow throughout the body. The other thing, I'll tell you guys right now, because I took my notes here, so I don't want to mess this up for you guys. The program does come intended with 3 things, okay? I intended it for educating you guys on programming, on how I do it the proper way, proper methodologies with weeks, supersetting, different systems, different phases, deloading, things of that nature. Number 2, to dispel the myth that building muscle with your body weight is impossible. It's very much possible. Again, you gotta understand time under tension, which time is one factor, and then tension being the other, to build muscle. And then this is also to provide you with a structured and engaging physical practice for your mind and body. I want to show you guys that bodyweight training with the basics doesn't have to be mundane, 50 reps of push-ups, and then you think you got this glorious pump and you're good to go. There's actually ways that you can train less and still get more. And matter of fact, the training that we will do will set a foundation for those skills in the future, very much so. Our central focus of this program is to show you how far your body can take you to develop self-efficacy. So what I mean by that is, at the end of this program, you should have a full-blown knowledge of how to do tempo training, how to use the less is more approach, using movements that lead to bigger gains as opposed to having like 1,000 movements exercise checklist. And now the other thing I want to also mention is you're going to notice within the programming, I have it structured with something as like A1, you'll see like push-ups or like dips or something like that. A2 is going to be like pull-ups. Listen really, really closely to what I'm going to say. I'm reading it right off my little tablet, my notes here. A1, B1, C1, whatever you see, etc. When there is more than one exercise per letter, i.e. A1, A2, A3, you're going to rotate through them one after the other with no rest for the noted number of rounds. So if I have an A1 push-ups, A2 pull-ups, A3 rows, you're gonna go one after the other, and then if I say rest, like there'll be a rest, it'll say like rest 2 minutes after A3, and then you'll repeat A1 again for like whatever amount of sets that are there. You'll repeat the whole process again, not just the A1 alone. It's very, very critical to understand that. The other concept, the other thing here is tempo training. So this is gonna get confusing for movements, especially if you just see the numbers and read them as is without knowing the terminology. You will get confused. Example, the tempo, you will see numbers such as like 4100. I'll actually get one straight out of the program right now. Let me see. So for example, on day 2, there's gonna be lean forward push-ups, right? If I'm telling you to give me a lean forward push-up with a tempo of like 3200, that essentially means the first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna lower down for the eccentric, which would be 2 seconds going down. So 1, 2, and then you'll pause for 0, which is pretty much no pause, and you'll come up slow 3 seconds. So to explain that in the scientific term, okay, we have our first number, which indicates the eccentric phase. So the descent of a chin-up, for example, is when your muscle is elongating. So let's say it's 4 seconds. That does not mean that I start at the bottom of the chin-up and I'm gonna pull 4 seconds down. That does not mean that. It means I'm just gonna pull up, and then as my muscles begin to elongate, the eccentric, as I lower, I'm gonna go 4, 3, 2, 1, and that would be the first number to pay attention to in terms of like how it's set up. So for example, again, let's say I have a tempo of 4, 1, x 1, okay? This indicates that the muscle is elongating as it's lowering for 4 seconds, okay, in the controlled descent. The second number indicates an isometric hold at the bottom of the chin-up, all right, at the passive hang. So let's say after my 4, 3, 2, 1, I pause for 1 at the bottom, and then I'll pull right back up and then pause for 1 at the top. My pull, which is my third number, which is my concentric, shortening the muscle, is going to be as fast as possible. If ever you see an X in the tempo, it means as fast as possible, okay? That means like very explosive. So again, I'm going to repeat it again. The first number indicates, this is for a chin-up, for example, the eccentric phase, when I'm lowering down. The second number indicates an isometric hold. So after I lower down, I'm going to pause for 1, so 4, 1. And then the third number is the concentric, which is the pull, the shortening, and that's going to be an X. I'm going to pull as explosively as possible. And then the fourth number indicates another isometric hold, which would be 1 second at the top. Hence the tempo 4, 1, X, 1. Remember this, okay? That's for the chin-up. Remember the terms. When your muscle is elongating, it'd be the eccentric. When you're pausing, it's an isometric, which would be the second number. For the third number, it's a concentric. Remember this well. The fourth number, an isometric. If you have questions, still email me for this, okay? Want to talk about managing symptoms and injuries. This is literally, I have something called the RPE, which is rate of perceived exertion. It's very critical for you to use this to scale yourself in terms of difficulty for an exercise. Number one, this will help you be honest. How tough was the exercise? You'll be able to comment on the Excel sheet that I have down there. This is for you to see, and if you wanted to share with me, you can share with me as well, and I can give you tips. Managing injuries is all about you controlling your ego. It really is. If you're coming into this program injured, I highly recommend that you take your time with this and do what is manageable. I wouldn't try to do the whole entire day of the training. I try to break it down, maybe the first half of the day on the first part of the workout on one day, and maybe the last part in the middle of the day if you are injured. Standardized programming, it cannot take into account individual restrictions, okay? Some restrictions are movable, others are immovable. For more insight on this concept, please review the some of the podcasts that I've done with Dr. Carlos Aponte, and some of my podcasts that I've done on pain, science, injury, so you guys can get a bit more in detailed depth about how to manage certain symptoms, okay? If there is clear pain in movement, cease and desist. Stop it. Don't chase after pain, okay? A lot of the things here are just very cognitive, and in order to just essentially recover with, with your training, eat well, sleep good, respect your goals, okay? Breathe some fresh air. These are some basic things. Stay on track and practice a mindset of longevity and sustainability. Which leads me to another big source here. Just because you failed at at the numbers, like let's say for example I asked you for 5 reps, you gave me 2 reps, that does not mean that you need to beat yourself up. It also doesn't mean that you're stuck. If you feel like you're stuck, it just means you got to work on it, okay? Don't this is your journey, so don't beat yourself up for messing up a rep or missing a rep, okay? This can get you injured very quickly if you believe that you are in some rut and you're trying to hammer through it, muscle through it. It's just not going to work that way. Train. This is why we use the RPE scale. See what was hard for you, try to get 1 more rep the next session, okay? Or maybe take a little bit of a longer rest period than what was prescribed, okay? Because everyone's going to be different, and this program is not made for everybody, because I don't know you. I know my population for sure, but I don't know what's going on with you right now. So this is why I'm having this webinar, to tell you guys this right now at this moment in time. All right. The rate of perceived exertion, by the way, is again labeled through like 1 through 10. How hard was it? And you can also be able to comment on the pain of if you did feel any pain, you'll comment it and then make sure you do the adequate steps, the proper steps to relieve the pain. I have a lot of video resources here and articles that you guys can read. There's more on how to read a training program. There's detailed thoughts on tempo. I have some articles here for recovery. I have my sleep ebook attached to this program as well, so you will get a free ebook based on sleep with this one. And that's about it right here for this. So that's the bodyweight hypertrophy in a quick nutshell. Actually, not in a nutshell. This is what it is. So this is what you're getting. The other thing to talk about are things like methods, and I also want to talk about like warm-ups. So the warm-ups is something that doesn't have to be exorbitant. You don't have to spend a lot of time doing your warm-ups. As a matter of fact, your warm-up should be mimicking part of said movement. So if you are going to be doing, if the workout prescribes for, let's say, lean forward push-ups, also known as LFPU, as an abbreviation, maybe the warm-up can just be, diamond push-ups, feet elevated push-ups for like 5-10 reps. And then maybe you go into like another progression that's closer. Maybe I go diamond, and then the second warm-up set could be feet elevated, diamond push-ups for like 3-5 reps, and then I go into my work set. I've attached some like warm-up ideas, some movement drills and mobility drills that you can do as well to kind of just get a full global practice. But again, your warm-up doesn't have to last forever. It really doesn't. We're just gonna train what we're there to train for on that day, and that's it. We're gonna get into some methodologies for the program right now. I have a lot of things going on here that some people probably wouldn't even notice, but you will see that everything is predicated in kind of like a circuit format fashion. Let me see right here. Okay. So for example, there's something called the ring pull-up ladder series. I have every single one of these videos explains the methodologies within it. We use movements like ladders. We use methods like ladders, hypertrophy ladders, cluster sets, single sets in order to improve neurological adaptation. So if you keep doing pull-ups, you're gonna get better at pull-ups. If you track yourself on the ring chin-up ladder, try to beat your ring chin-up ladder last time. Increase the number of reps. So if you started with 5, if you guys obviously get the program, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you do 5 on the ring chin-up ladder, the next week it's going to be 6, then it's going to be 7. We're using a very linear progressive model here. After the first 4 weeks, you will go through what I call a deload reload week. You will still maintain the same type of movements and workouts and methodologies, but with just less volume, so less sets, less reps. So for example, up until week 3, you're doing 4 sets of 10 reps of assisted shrimp squats. But by the time you get to week 4, which is the deload reload week, you're doing 10 reps at 2 sets. Bit of an example right there. I also have the tempo literally followed after the movement. So, you know, you'll see something like 3-1-0-1, 1-1-1-1-1, 4-1-X-0. Again, we've spoken about tempo. Make sure you read up on that. The program has another deload week period after the another 4 weeks. So week 8, you'll have another deload reload week in which we introduce you to a whole myriad of methodologies. You're doing mixed grin chin-ups at this point, VMA push-ups, ring row pyramids. So if you see like the ring row pyramid, you'll see like a long amount of reps. It's gonna say 8 8 6 6 4 4 6 6 8 8. Literally means that when you see the ring row pyramid, we're gonna start off. The numbers dictate the level of difficulty that the exercise is gonna be. If I'm doing ring rows, for example, and I'm doing them standing, it's very easy. That's why we're doing 8. But then I walk my feet, you know, closer and closer, and I get lower, and the closer I get to the ground, the more difficult it gets, the less the numbers become. So by the time you get to 6, your feet is like probably in a table position. By the time you get to 4, your legs are probably very elongated, and your glutes are much, much closer to the floor, and you're more parallel up to the sky. That'd be 4 reps, because that would probably be like the hardest progression of that series. I hope that makes sense. But that isn't until week 8. And then week 9, which is the last week of the exercises, is pretty much essentially when you are done with this program. So you have 9 weeks of hypertrophy training. You have full lifetime access to this. You have resources. So read. I highly recommend you read before even sending me an email. But if you definitely just don't understand something, just send me an email. I can't stress that enough. You can communicate with me on this, and I'll make a link or a video just for you on whatever your specific needs are. So don't ever forget that. That I am always going to be here to help you guys out with the training and understanding different tricks of the trade. Let's see. In terms of equipment wise, if you have gymnastic rings, which I highly recommend you do, and that is a bit of like a disclaimer, you should buy some gymnastic rings or some kind of suspension trainer. I love the NOSC. I use this. It's 17 bucks. Very easy. All you literally got to do is just throw this. It already comes like this. You got to maybe do like a few loops. It's not that hard. It takes like 30 seconds to set up, and you're ready to go. This is exactly what the NOSC looks like. These handles here. I like these handles here because this helps you do different hamstring curl variations and bridge variations. Note that the handles here also rotate, which is something that the gymnastic rings do not do. So you'll do something known as the bicep curl series, and the fact that this rotates for you actually makes the training, you get more of an effective bicep curl engagement. So I definitely like the fact that this rotates with you. So don't forget that. Resistant bands is another thing. I highly recommend you get either Serious Steel, Elite FTS. Rogue is okay, but Rogue could be a little bit pricey. SPRI, the Spree brand, is fine as well. There's a lot of brands out there, so whatever floats your boat. But make sure you have light bands, medium bands, and heavy bands. And we're not talking about the medium ones. We're talking about the ones that elongate and that they're like a loop. You'll also notice in the videos that some of the athletes are using rock cuffs, things that pretty much occlude blood flow. You don't need that. That's just something that we did to spice up the training with the athletes, because these guys are very, very well experienced. So if ever you wanted to just maybe enhance your bodyweight training routine, or in these COVID times, you're trying to find a way to make exercises much tougher, but you still want to stick to the basics, I do recommend getting rock cuffs. They're pretty helpful, but you do not need them. So don't worry about what you see in the video. Listen to what I'm saying in those videos, because most of them are all voiceovers. In the event that you do not have stairs, because the first day you're doing your lower body, if you do not have stairs and you can't sprint up them, regular sprints are just fine. All right, there's no need to to think that you don't have to avoid a workout just because you don't have access to it. There's multiple ways. So another example would be the assisted elevated pistol squat on a wedge board. You'll notice that first workout, I have athletes that their feet are elevated on a wedge board, and there's somebody that's spotting them from behind. Let's say if you didn't have somebody to spot you from behind, you can loop one of those resistant bands over a tree, over a pull-up bar, and literally have it just like hang behind your waist, and you're holding onto it, and you can literally just squat down from there, you know, and have your feet elevated on like a little wooden board, a little wooden plank, or even a textbook. You'd be very resourceful with this, guys. That's another thing. Essentially, guys, that's pretty much it. The movements here are very simple, like I said. The hardest thing that you'll ever experience is the handstand push-ups in terms of skills, and that is going to be done on the wall. Outside of that, this is the bodyweight hypertrophy program, and I hope that this webinar helped. Okay, before purchasing the program, I highly recommend you see this webinar. Okay, I'm going to have this in the description on the website and on this video in and of itself. So this video is going to be free. It is my quick explanation on the bodyweight hypertrophy program. In terms of building mass, this is something else I have to talk about. Nutrition. Nutrition is not a big focal point into this discussion, because nutrition is very individualized, and I wholeheartedly believe that what works for me may not work for you, just like programming. Basic guidelines: eat more than what you're used to. You're giving your body a reason to eat more because you're training more, and you also might be exposed to different stimuluses that you've never actually had to deal with, so you might even be sore for longer. So eating does help recovery. Stay on good, wholesome, quality food as much as you can, but I understand that if you don't have the resources, you have to eat what you eat. Focus on good things, like, again, like sleep, getting some sunlight, getting some fresh air, okay? Enjoying like the pranayama and your environment, you know? Go for a walk. Walking helps tremendously a lot for recovery. And train safe, practice those gains. And that's essentially it, guys. Nutrition, again, eat food, eat real food, eat foods that have high nutritional value. All right, if you're a vegan, if you're a vegetarian, still eat more. Eat your rice, eat your beans, eat your yams, eat your steak, eat your yak, eat your chicken, eat your beef, fruits, vegetables. If you can sustain milk and not have any negative repercussions to it, drink your milk. Everything goes here. Obviously, I'm not advocating that you go and you start drinking alcohol and eating all kinds of desserts. You're training. Respect your body, respect your goals. It's kind of common sense, and it's the basics, all right? So if you are going to get up on this program, you make a commitment to yourself, not me, all right? The commitment is to train hard, train smart, train consistent, train for some longevity, and communicate with me with any situations that you might encounter, and don't give up on the program. Whenever you feel stuck in the program, breathe, regress, give yourself more rest time, make a note of it, get a journal, write this stuff down. Even though there's an Excel sheet, you should still write this down in a notebook, all right? There's something powerful about writing things down. This archaic method of putting memory to paper is golden. Semi Fitness, giving you guys peace and blessings. This is the Bodyweight Hypertrophy Training Program. I'll see you inside. Peace.